The first task for an adversary will be to check out the target in order to prepare their attack. This is known as the reconnaissance phase. Gathering information on the target can be done using open source intelligence or using tools which probe the target directly. When you're testing for vulnerabilities, it's useful to look at the target from an adversarial perspective and find out how much information can be found. Kali provides a large number of information gathering tools in the first group of its application menu. Let's have a look at them. We've got some subfolders and tools in the menu on the right, and if I click on one such as DNS analysis, its submenu tools are shown. The information gathering tools can provide us with a lot of information to profile a target system. We can find DNS information, identify any IDS being used to filter traffic, identifying profile hosts, and see how traffic routes to them. And we can gain information from any SMB, SMTP, SNMP, and SSL services that might be open. Let's have a look at three representative tools. Dimitri, the deep magic information gathering tool, can be used to do a whois lookup of a host, identify subdomains, and scan a target looking for open ports. Let's take a look at how to use a couple of Dimitri's capabilities. Firstly, I'll use Dimitri to identify the public internet registration information of the @yahoo.com website. The first thing that Dimitri provides is the target IP address. We can see that the IP address for Yahoo is 98.137.246. The registration information shows that at yahoo.com is in the internet address block 981, 2900 through to 100 and 155.255.255. However, this is not the only location for Yahoo services. Dimitri provides its more extensive gathered netcraft information. Here we see a wider IP address range for a series of subdomains starting with www.yahoo.com, finance@yahoo.com, news@yahoo.com, and so on. In total, Dimitri found 41 subdomains. Dimitri also identified a number of email addresses belonging to @yahoo.com. These may be useful for an attacker in crafting phishing attacks. Dimitri also checks for open ports on servers. We can see that at yahoo.com has an open web service as we'd expect. We can use Dimitri for just port scanning. I'll check the ports on one of the servers on my test network by using the -p switch. I'll also use the BSwitch to get banner from the ports so that I can see the version of software providing the port service. Dimitri quickly checks and reports on the 150 most frequently used ports and provides enough information for me to identify some of the software used. For example, the FTP service on port 21 is using VSFTPD version 2.3.4. Let's go to the first application menu, DNS analysis, and have a look at the first of its tools. DNS enum is used to enumerate information for a system. It provides the name service for a domain, identifies subdomains, provides the associated mail servers, and does zone transfers to check for more information on subdomains. Note that DNS enumerate doesn't interrogate the server itself. It just looks at the public records of server registration. Let's check the DNS information for TikTok. The first thing we get is the host's addresses in the 161117 range. This is followed by 4 associated name servers in the 205.251 range. The name servers are used to translate from a real-world name, such as TikTok.com, to the IP address of that system. Having multiple name servers provides redundancy in the event that one or more are unavailable. Then we have the mail server records, which show the email systems for the TikTok.com subdomains. The DNS enum tool attempts to do its own transfer, but this has failed with the corrupt transfer record. However, DNS enum can also try 2 other techniques. The first is using a DNS dictionary to try commonly named DNS records, and it's found 4 address records and 3 canonical name records. The second is to do reverse lookups using the IP address ranges, which can take a while. In this case, DNS enum found no reverse lookup records. DNS enum can provide more information. The SP switches can be used to request subdomain information from the DNS servers. Let's look at what has been registered for TikTok. This executes the same DNS query we ran previously, but this time identifies two subdomains, VM and VT, and shows additional canonical name records. This demonstrates one of the key skills in pen testing persistence. The mantra of pen testers is try harder. Try harder to enumerate target information, and try harder to exploit systems because the adversary will DNS enum is also useful for quickly finding out what systems have been registered in a particular domain. For example, we can ask what systems are in the 132.181 domain by entering DNS enum 132.181.0.16. Here we see the two name servers associated with this domain, DNS1 and DNS2 name servers of Canterbury, ACNZ. The most important Carly tool used for doing active target reconnaissance is NMAP, and this is on the top-level information gathering menu. Nmap provides a wide range of options to explore networks. Its primary function is to scan a network and probe the host that it detects. It can scan using either of the two main internet protocols, TCP and UDP, and provides a lot of control over how the scanning and probing works. It can access services using a supplied username and password, or it can try to brute force its way in by guessing them. We can see from the help information that there's quite a lot we can do with Nmap. It takes time to fully understand the power of Nmap, but the basics are a good place to start. As we look down the help, we can see that it's quite flexible at specifying the target or target list. As we look down the help information, we can see that it's quite flexible at specifying the target or target list. It has a lot of ways to try to discover hosts. It has a number of different scan techniques. It provides various ways of scanning ports and services. It has scripts we can use and more. Some Linux networking functions will only work in privileged mode, and with the latest version of Kali, we need to use the sudo qualifier in front of the nmap command to get these privileges. Let's use nmap to discover what hosts are on my network. I know the test network is a 24 subnet, so I'll check this by entering sudo -sn 100-200. Nmap has many functions which are selected by using options on the command line. Here I'm using the SN option, which contacts each host in turn with what's known as a ping to see whether it responds. Nmap reports the IP addresses of the hosts that respond and also provides the MAC address of the host. Here we see 5 results, 3 VirtualBox addresses, and the Carlion Metasploitable servers. Let's now look at one of the targets. We've identified the Metasploitable server on IP address 102.8. We'll drill down deeper into this system using the -ps option to see what TCP services are running. Nmap quickly checks the most common ports. There are about 2,200 in its database to see if they're open on the host. It does this by starting to open a connection to the service and then closing it down before the connection is complete. This is called a TCP SYN ping, and it works by sending an empty TCP packet with a SYN flag set and waiting for the host to respond with the standard SYNAC response. While a normal connection would be completed by sending back an AC, Nmap instead cancels the connection before it completes. We can see in the response that Metasploitable has quite a number of open ports. Now let's use Nmap to drill down into an individual service, the SSH service. By using the -sv option, Nmap will try to identify the version of software being used for the service. I can limit the testing to just the one service with the -p option. I'll type sudo nmap -ps -sv -p22 102.8 Nmap comes back quickly and tells us that the service on port 22 is running the OpenSSH version 4.7 P1 software. This is very rich intelligence. If we go to the NIST vulnerability database site, we can run a search on OpenSSH. We can see there are 117 known vulnerabilities. As a network administrator, I can now review these vulnerabilities to see whether they're relevant, and if so, make sure I have the correct patches applied to this installation of OpenSSH. We can also use Nmap to check for UDP services. We do this using the -su flags, and I'll use the -f flag to restrict the number of ports checked. Okay, we can see that there are 4 UDP ports open. There are also 3 which have an undetermined state, and so Nmap has flagged them as open filtered. As a pen tester, the majority of targets that you'll be testing will be web servers. It's often useful to be able to do a quick check of a website during reconnaissance, and Carly provides a tool called WhatWeb for just that purpose. WhatWeb is a sophisticated tool written by one of Australia's leading pen testers, Andrew Horton. It has over 1,500 plugins, but we can also use it in its simple form to do quick reconnaissance. We can find this in the Web Application Analysis menu under Web Vulnerability Scanners. Let's check out Metasploitable's web server. This quickly provides us with the basic information we need on the web server. It's running on Apache 228. It's using PHP and it's running WebDAV extensions. Let's look at another server, this time on the internet. This is a publicly available testing server. This quickly detects that the website is an Apache Coyote 1.1 server running jQuery 1. 8.2 and the web server name is 0. Grow personal banking loans, credit cards.